Hey guys, Desolator Magic here. Happy ban announcement day. We did get a couple days warning on this, and today we've got an announcement from somebody I've never heard of. That's more of a pattern lately because they're going through people like I go through socks. But Dan Muster's here to explain why they just banned everything from everything. This one is a doozy. First up, they're doubling down on their initial mistake and banning nothing in Standard because the next ban announcement, I wish I was kidding, for Standard is next August. But oh baby, a triple. We've got 2 cards banned and 1 very questionably unbanned in Pioneer. What is Pioneer? Well, it's RTR onward, so 2013-ish onward, and non-rotating. They ruined Modern with Modern Horizons, so they made this. That's the short version, and the long version is the exact same sentence. So we've got Karn the Great Creator banned and Geological Appraiser banned. Now where am I supposed to go to get my rocks appraised? So Karn the Great Creator, if you're not looking at your screen or can't read it, is a 4-cost 5-drop colorless planeswalker. Well, generic colored planeswalker, thanks BFZ. Activated abilities of artifacts your opponent's control can't be activated, so fairly oppressive. Then you gotta hit him for 5 to knock him out, and then when he comes out, he's probably gonna go to 6 because +1 is until your next turn. Up to 1 target non-creature artifact becomes an artifact creature with power and toughness, each equal to its converted mana cost. That's insane. And -2, you may choose an artifact card you own from outside the game, or in exile, reveal that card and put it in your hand. Inherently broken, questionable in multiple formats. Some formats consider outside the game to be your sideboard. Some consider to be the trunk of your car. Yeah, that card is confusing, stupid, annoying, and was a mistake. And Geological Appraiser is a 4-cost double red 3/2 creature human artificer, and when it enters the battlefield, if you cast it, discover 3. Okay, I'm gonna have to read how that's broken, because anything that costs 4 in red in an uncommon slot, somebody must be doing something with this. Discover is pretty messed up. It's pretty much just Cascade, but I don't know. Okay, let's read what they wrote. We want Pioneer to provide us diverse and experiences. Okay, I'm gonna edit out all the corporate fluff nonsense and just get to why they banned it. The first significant sentence I came across, no joke, was the last time we took action on the format was in June of 2022, about 1.5 years ago. Why would you remind us of that? We get it. You don't ban stuff enough. You let stuff go. You think people are happy about that? They're not. If you're new to this channel, I complain about this all the time, but they don't have a process called an exit survey. You want to know why your customer isn't a customer anymore. If they don't buy your products anymore, if they don't play a single format anymore and went to a different one, if they play less, if they just went to anything goes tabletop, if they stop showing up to F&M, you want to know why. But they also stopped following you on Reddit and on Twitter, and so you don't hear from those people. You just wonder, is it an external factor? Is it COVID? Is it budget? Is it the crappy economy from the crappy politics we push? Must be all of those things. I'm going to keep voting Democrat, though. Yeah, let's just write it off as people don't play paper and make an even more abusive format on Arena called Historic. So what they need to do is find out why people are leaving and do something about it, and people are leaving Pioneer because there were such obnoxious, overpowered decks that nobody wanted to play it anymore. So the fact that they admitted they didn't touch it in a year and a half is the last thing they should ever possibly do. The next sentence is the plan is to return to a more active role in managing Pioneer. Let me just translate that. We're finally going to actually do our jobs because people are pissed and don't want to play it anymore. I think they were so hands-off because they invented it because they ruined Modern, like I said, and then they ruined this by ruining Standard, so it's just cascading down. Because this is the only format where it is fed entirely by Standard. Now, Historic is whatever they want to throw into it. They just pull some cards out of their butts and be like, here, maybe people will buy this, I guess. No time frame, no nothing. It is literally just a list of whatever cards they want to throw at it that they think you'll buy on Arena. And what a coincidence, everything powerful is a rare. Who would have thought? But as far as Pioneer goes, they decided let's kind of actually maintain this so maybe it'll have some semblance of playability. They still don't seem to understand what a fun to play against deck is, though. But I guess I just assume anybody interested in fun is playing Commander. The one format that they're 2 layers away from policing. The ban list is maintained by a third party, not WOTC. And then also everybody just polices their own thing and has their own playgroup rules. So the further you get from WOTC, the more fun the game gets. Just wanted to point that out in case you're confused. So they go on to say during the year after its creation, changes to Pioneer were frequent, sometimes with multiple changes in a single month. Moving forward, we'll be actively using our main set release banned and restricted announcement cadence to take better care of Pioneer. Better care. Okay. The guy who wrote this, Dan Musser, must like legit be like backhandedly throwing this under the bus. Like, hey, we did a terrible job, but I'm going to make it as soft as possible. But I'm still going to put it in the article because people have to know that we did a terrible job. If you're not familiar with the history of WOTC, they never fess up to a mistake ever. It broke Mark Rosewater's brain when he had to admit on Twitter and go on a 19-hour tirade straight. I'm not even kidding. Total meltdown tweet storm when he was finally forced into admitting by the most hardcore fans of his that Companion was inherently crap and that he did a trash job inventing it. WOTC doesn't believe in accountability. So for them to put this in the article is shocking. That's actually the most shocking thing in this whole thing. The rest of the bands I could care less about. So I wanted to focus on this. So they say, yeah, a lot of people are playing Mono Green Nykthos, but it's within the reasonable range of the metagame share. The deck still has been a larger component of the Pioneer metagame for most of the format's lifetime. Duh, they've been printing overpowered green creatures. Like, I could have told them that. So with Karn the Great Creator, though, capable of finding threats and solutions to whatever the deck encounters, yeah, it's OP, too wide, and it's colorless. I mean, welcome to the problem with Shadow Spirit. Should have banned that, too. It can be quite difficult to go over the top of this strategy. Yeah, you can't play around him. This causes the metagame to either try to go underneath it, which I think means like direct threat, like you just literally have a Planeswalker killer, or you go so fast that you don't care about the card. It's one of the two. Their terminology, I could care less. But he says, ignore what it's doing with your own combo strategy. Yeah, that's underneath. Okay, I could just read the rest of the sentence. Effectively bending the metagame due to its existence. The consistency and strength of a deck also makes it very difficult for various types of fair mid-game strategies to exist. What do you mean by fair? Like not mono blue haughty Jin? Like what do you mean by fair? I'd love to hear their definition on that. So they go on to whine more about Karn, saying it can facilitate convoluted infinite combos that make, I wouldn't have expected that, but I guess now that he says it, make the format less approachable at little to no opportunity cost, which means you don't have to like, ooh, I really ruined my deck by putting him in, or I'm really risking like all in one, getting him out. Your deck functions just fine if you don't play him, and it functions way too well if you do. I'm actually familiar with that deck, even though I don't play Pioneer. So, blah, 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 warping effect on the metagame, he's banned. All right, so the introduction of the Lost Caverns of Ixalan brought new toys to the format. That's one way to put it, right when you ban one of those toys. The Discover mechanic, featured on cards such as Geological Appraiser, Trumpeting Carnosaur, and Kintoris Khand, has given rise to brand new strategies that don't play any other cards naturally costing 4 or less outside of cloning effects. That's what it was. I was wondering. I thought, what is the first thing I would do with a wider pool with Discover? I'm like, well, run a cloner. Run something that clones it, or run Discover into Discover, kind of like Cascade. Because it's Cascade Jr. I'm not sure I need to read more about this. You just clone, win the game. Because Discover was stupid and they shouldn't have done it. So legit, I don't need to read the rest. I just read it. There's nothing of substance in it that you wouldn't already know. Other than the fact that they later say, we'll keep an eye on Kintorius decks, which instead of cloning creatures and then you still have to actually swing, I assume they have haste, you just die to damage from his effect. Oh, there is one more phrase I almost skipped over here. Being able to win the game on the spot on turn 3 with Geological Appraiser after creating a single treasure token puts a bit too much pressure on folks. Does it? Does it really? Because there's 2 turn 3 combos in Standard Constructed right now, so maybe you should do something about those before people figure out to play those in Pioneer. I should make a video teaching people how to play them in Pioneer. Somebody's got to teach Wizards a lesson about like printing overpowered crap and not testing it properly and power ramping off a cliff. And I thought those people were Yu-Gi-Oh! Teaching them that lesson, because boy, they are pioneers, wink wink, in the field of driving your game off a cliff by power ramping it straight to hell. But, well, Chris Cox had other ideas, as did the Arena Design team, apparently. Well, they've ruined another 3 formats. Spoiler alert, the other video I'm making today, if I have time, is the new format they just created because they ruined all the others. Wait till you hear this one. I'm sure they won't ruin it. I think they already ruined it, actually, before it even existed. So just to illustrate how unbelievably power ramped off a cliff and around the corner this format is and the game is in general, they are unbanning Smuggler's Copter. So they banned it back in December 2019. Why? Because it would be the same mistakes that was when it was in Standard, which it was also banned from. You guys know my general ban policy. If I was in charge, it would be, if it was ever banned in one format, ban it in every other format. It's not worth the risk, and we don't want to deal with it later. It is just a completely dead card, and then If it was banned and you think it's safe to come back, don't risk it. There are quite literally around 10,000 cards, I think, legal in Pioneer. It's probably actually higher at this point. Just build with the other 9,999. You know what I mean? You don't need deck diversity that badly. You don't need a problem card to come back, and you don't need to remind people that the power creep is real. I mean, yeah, it's a non-rotating format. I get it. It's going to have power creep, but to say, oh, cloning and auto-winning with one treasure on turn 3, maybe we should do something about it. Oh, you know, we could unban Smuggler's Copter. That doesn't look bad at all. It's so not even powerful. It's not even competitive. People won't even play it. It used to be so problematic we banned it. And now we've gone so nuts on the power level that nobody wants to play a 3-minute game. You're basically playing Legacy. It's just a coin flip. Spoiler alert, I saw a statistical analysis of Pioneer games. Whoever goes first wins, like 80% of the time. It is an absolute coin flip and a complete waste of your time. Sorry to burst your bubble if you loved Pioneer. Play kitchen table casual, making up your own rules. You are literally smarter than WOTC. You can be brand new to the game, you're still smarter than them. This is mismanagement at its finest. So yeah, Smuggler's Copter is unbanned. It says, while unbanning is not something we do very often, we believe a format can absorb it successfully. Reintroducing it will create a new deck building puzzles or revive old ones, which really you don't want to do, and provide additional diversity. Next up, let's talk Modern, which is apparently a format that people still play occasionally, I guess. So for you 4 people that still play it, here's an announcement for you. Fury is banned and Up the Beanstalk is banned. You can take your Beanstalk and, well, you know, so Fury is from MH2. Shocking that an MH2 of Modern Horizons 2 card broke Modern. Who would have thought? This is only like the 4th time it's happened in 2 years. And it's a mythic, and it's the expensive one. So it's a 5-cost red 3/3, which, okay, but double strike, and when it enters battlefield, it deals 4 damage divided as you choose among any number of target creatures and or planeswalkers. That is, evoke, exile a red card from your hand. Oh, so it's a free double striker for 3 that does 4 damage. That just nukes everything. I wonder why that could be a problem. This is like Force of Will Red Winds edition. Wow. I don't know if I need to read their explanation on that. Then Up the Beanstalk. They had to have known. They had to have known that this card was a little bit of a problem before they even designed it. Wilds of Eldraine card. 2-cost green enchantment. When Up the Beanstalk enters the battlefield, and whenever you cast a spell with mana value 5 or greater, which if you're thinking, ooh, 5, when would you get there? You have to ramp into it. No, there's a bunch of cheater ways to do it. Draw a card. I bet you infinite combo. I don't pay any attention to Modern, and I bet you just looking at the card, infinite combo. I'm not cheating. I haven't read the section yet, so okay. When we last spoke about Modern in August, we were most concerned about new cards from Lord of the Rings, the Tales of Middle-earth. Really, I'm concerned about every single power-ramped pile of crap that you push on us. So I guess we're on the same page there. Namely, Orcish Bowmasters and the One Ring. Oh yeah, that's right. It's still not banned, by the way, I think. While these cards are powerful players in the metagame, we're still selling that product. I mean, some other excuse. Fury, most often played as a 4/4 double striker that clears the opponent's... What do you mean does it do something else? Do you just do a Sharpie job on it and play it as a land? What the hell do you mean? It's most often played as the card that it is. What? Makes play with creature decks nearly impossible. How else is it used? And why did they think it wouldn't blow up a ton of creatures for free on turn whatever the hell you want? This is mind-blowing. What else do they think the card does other than what it says on the damn card? They're not gonna do it. They're breaking my brain. Let me just read this absolute BS. They screwed up. It's overpowered. Nobody can play creatures against it, and it's a butt ton of damage and a board wipe for literally 0 freaking mana. What did they think was going to happen, and why did it take this long? So Rakdos Evoke has only risen in the metagame share since Modern Pro Tour this summer. So Modern actually moves this slowly, I'm not even kidding. It took them until this Pro Tour for somebody to catch on that this is a good deck, because nobody even builds decks for it online and posts them. It's just like I said, there's 4 people still playing it. And I bet 3 of them were playing Rakdos, I'm just saying. So it's coming up right behind 4-color Omnath, which also should be banned. And also plays Fury, they want to point out. Awesome. Played in a smattering of other decks as well, because it's just that broken. If you run red, you run Fury. I mean, just say it. Fury is keeping several diverse and interesting strategies at bay, and for this reason, Fury is banned in Modern. Removing Fury will impact both the play rate and win rate of Rakdos Evoke. Players are currently using 4 or more copies of Undying effects, like Not Dead After All, to rebuy Grief or Fury. Oh God, I didn't even think of that. That's horrible. Without Fury, the opportunity cost of playing so many Undying effects increases. Yeah, like you get Order of Pull, you get the 20-20-20 problem. I'm not going to go into it, but they do make a good point there. So they go into other like little granular, who cares? All right, so they say, finally, fewer overall Rectos evoke decks in the metagame will also likely reduce the total number of Grief and Orcish Bowmaster players, or that players will encounter. Let's move on to Up the Beanstalk. It is one of Modern's newest inclusions and a ingrown hair on the taint of the format. That is what they wrote. I just read it. Just kidding. So they say it's subsidizing many cards in the format that cost 5 or more mana. However, it is rare for a player to pay anywhere close to 5 mana. Oh, it's almost like I just said that. To cast cards that they are using with Up the Beanstalk. While removing Fury from the format will certainly impact the usage of Up the Beanstalk. Did AI write this? We don't believe that we don't believe that to be enough. Well, then ban another card. What? It is remarkably difficult to interact with the 2 mana enchantment profitability as the card replaces itself immediately, with players often playing a free spell on the same turn since they get such a great return on the deal. Well, often, yeah. I mean, 1/3 of your deck is land on average, so yeah, it would be often. It is particularly telling when players have concluded that cascading into Up the Beanstalk is more advantageous than the 0 mana options like Crashing Foothills and Living End. It's better than Living End, guys. That deck, it won't die, which is kind of funny if you think about it. For these reasons, Up the Beanstalk is banned in Modern, and probably shouldn't have been printed, you absolute morons. So Legacy and Vintage, no changes. I mean, they just blah, 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 Orcish Bowmasters, Brainstorm, the Wasteland, but we're not going to do anything. Okay, there you go. Vintage. The One Ring, Orcish Bowmasters, Urza Saga's Ancestor Recall, but we're not going to do anything. There you go. Summarized. All right. I'll just read the entirety of Explorer because it's this funny. So Explorer is literally like C-, we turned in Pioneer, but didn't actually get our homework done on time. I am not kidding. They just are like, we don't have enough staff and time to make Pioneer on Arena, so we're just going to call it Explorer, and we'll get to Pioneer eventually. That is a direct summary of what they openly stated. Amazing. At the time, they didn't have developers, like, at all. They just shipped it off to a Canadian company recently. And then there have been a bunch of glitches and non-working cards right after that. I'm sure it's a coincidence. So each card banned in Pioneer that is available on MTG Arena is also banned in Explorer to maintain this, which they're making that up. They're just like, oh, that was the rule the whole time. That was never the rule. They never stated that. If they did, I missed it. So to maintain this, Karn and Geological Appraiser are banned. Smuggler's Copter is also now unbanned in Pioneer, but not in Explorer because it's not available on MTG Arena yet. Now the final nail in the coffin. This one is pretty wild. In Pauper, Monastery Swiftspear, literally the devil himself, is finally banned. To read a full explanation of this banning, click here. This is going to be good when they hide the explanation in a separate article. Holy tap dancing hell, this is like 10 pages. Okay, I'm going to summarize it. The reason it was banned is because it's a gigantic mistake. Everybody hates it, makes red too powerful. There you go. There's your announcement. I just saved you 15 minutes of Gavin going on about a bunch of crap with cringe, weird talking to himself. It's amazing. I skimmed the article and I'm like, I can't. So they recruited a whole bunch of people. Actually, it's Alex Ullman, Alexandria Weber, Emma Partlow, Gavin Verhey, Mirko Ciavata. Sorry if I got that wrong. I think I did because it's Italian, sorry. Paige Smith and Ryuji Saito to join the Pauper format panel, or as I call it, the Pauper People Committee. Is that what I called it? The Panel of Pauper People? I think that's what I called it, Panel of Pauper People. No, it was the Committee of Concerned Paupers, or the CCP. You know, I think I gave it about 10 nicknames when they made it, but anyway, it's people who know what the hell they're doing and give a crap about Pauper and are kind of famous in the community. And by famous, I mean, that's like saying like I'm noteworthy in Pauper is like saying I'm famous in my hometown. It's a little scaled back, but honestly, good for them. Like a month after they came together, they made the best decisions to maintain Pauper ever. So Pauper is becoming even more playable. I love it. This was probably my favorite ban out of all of them. I agree with every single one of these. Shockingly enough, I know you might just be shocked. I think they should have gone further. They should have banned more things, and they should have probably just banned the entire format of Standard. stay tuned for why they kind of did do that, actually. But lastly, I am going to read what they said about Standard. I haven't read this yet. I'm sure I'm going to punch through my monitor in any second. So let's see. We've talked about Standard a lot this year, and we're happy with the state of the... Shut up, you assholes. You are not happy with the state of it. You're losing customers left and right, and you just replaced it with some bullshit new format called Timeless or something. Oh my god. Okay, anyway. We're happy with the state of the format since we took actions on a few cards earlier back in May, and then failed to do anything in August. The format has evolved since then, incorporating cards Wilds of Eldraine and Lost Caverns of Ixalan, and now you just win on turn 3 with infinite mana. Whoops. We view Standard as healthy when each of the macro archetype strategies, aggro, mid-range, control, and combo are present. Well, nobody wants to play against control, so you should downplay that in just solely Standard by limiting the number of control cards in a deck and reclassifying them as control cards. And then you need to limit Standard to 2 color. There's actually a whole bunch of stuff you need to do. You need to rotate it after a year and a half, not 3 years, not 2 years. Don't even get me started on the way they would fix this. On top of all that, they need to ban about 30 cards to get back to a comfortable power level where people can understand the game and want to learn it and can afford to play it. That is what you need, is an entry-level format, okay? Otherwise, you're never going to have any customers, because for every 3 leaving, you're getting maybe 1. I bet that ratio still is even lower. So we've seen a lot happening since the bans in May. Yeah, a bunch of overpowered crap. Even a Standard has grown to now incorporate 10 sets in total. So I will give them this. The deck diversity is insane right now, but like a third of the decks I don't want to play against. Like Mono Blue Control, Black Attrition, literally anything with Infect/Toxic. And Board Wipe Manlands is back. I just gave some of you PTSD. Somebody asked me in live stream, what is the most like obnoxious deck, the most like I want to punch the person deck that I've ever played against in any format ever? And I guess outside of Vintage, because that's just like, oh, I won on turn 0 or what, come on. But in real formats that actually resemble Magic the Gathering, the worst I've ever seen is all manlands, all control. It's kill, counterspell, draw, scry, board wipe, board wipe, board wipe. And it was a thing the last time that manlands were out, I think. And they didn't take any action against it. It was the most unbeatable deck I have ever seen in my life. It did not let you play a damn thing. You couldn't speed it with red. You couldn't beat it with mid. You couldn't outplay it with some clever draw thing. You would have to kill a land off turn with a targeted spell that doesn't say non-land. That, and I think one generic crap land that you were now forced to include in your 3-color deck that was only capable of generating colorless, counts as a land drop for the turn, and blows up a land. That was what they did. That was their solution to it. That was your only way of playing around it, and they would just outplay you. And that's back. As of the new set, that's back. So Lost Caverns of Ixalan is the final nail in the coffin for Standard. It's bleeding out right now. I wonder if they're going to create a new format to replace Standard. Let's read about that in the next video. Bunch of idiots. This is like, fool me 3 times, I'm not going to give you another chance, you know what I mean? It's the boy who cried wolf, except crying wolf is actually just killing formats. With incompetence, lack of play testing, lack of accountability, lack of effort, lack of skill, lack of computing, lack of even proofreading the damn cards, let alone anything that resembles effort past that, and uncontrollable greed and stupidity and short-sightedness for self-serving reasons. Plus not firing Mark Rosewater. So they made all those mistakes. Now they're just like, oh, we're going to do it again, but we're going to do it right this time. We're going to watch it real close this time. That's what you said about Pioneer, you dumbasses. And then you didn't touch it for a year and a half. And then you wrote in this article that you didn't touch it for a year and a half instead of just brushing that under the rug. Holy crap, WOTC is so stupid. So I read the last couple paragraphs. They just go on to gaslight you and say everything's fine. Well, you can't lie to me when I see the player counts going down and down and down, but what they did do about it, they did take one step to stop people from realizing that the amount of players is going down, down, down on Arena. Nobody's playing Standard in any events in paper anymore. What they did about it was banned people from reporting on the number of active players with third-party trackers. They threatened to sue them all. Problem solved. You don't solve the problem, you just solve the problem of people telling people about the problem. Welcome to how liberals operate. Just control the narrative and then you don't have to have responsibility for your stupid actions. Just go 1984 and control what everybody says and control information. That always works, right? People don't find ways around it, or like have a YouTube channel with 50,000 subs where they rip wizards apart constantly and tell the actual truth. Sub if you like it, by the way. So yeah, absolute BS that they're not going to touch Standard. I would have just not written anything about Standard instead of trying to tell us that everything's okay while we can clearly see that the room is on fire. And yeah, in the same day, just about in the same breath, as they introduce a new format called Timeless, a format specific to Arena. I actually don't know what it is yet. I haven't read it. I'm sure it'll piss me off. Watch for my live reaction in the next video. This has been a ban announcement. Sub if you want to keep hearing the truth, like I said, and I'll see you guys next time. And yes, part 2 of the documentary is coming soon.